Welcome to Verse of the Day. My name is Brandon Hathaway, and I'm the preacher here at the Westside Church of Christ in Owensboro, Kentucky. I want to thank you for joining me today as we open up the Bible and study the Word of God. We are in 1 Corinthians chapter 2 today, 1 Corinthians chapter 2. I hope that you'll open your Bible and continue to read and study the Word of God. And today we're just going to be looking at verses 14 through 16 as we take the time to look at a few of the verses here. It's continuing on the point as we talked about yesterday in chapter 1 on the mindset of wisdom, God's wisdom versus man's wisdom. God's wisdom is, God's foolishness is greater than man's wisdom. So you can think of the greatest, wisest man you've ever known, and God's foolishness is still wiser than his and hugely wiser than his. And so as we continue through chapter 2, it's similar points through that, Paul making it clear that, he didn't come and using special words or trying to show off, his manly wisdom, but rather spoke the truth, spoke in Christ's name, and preached what needed to be preached, though, of course, people not willing to hear and receive the truth. And so here in verse 14 through 16, I believe it kind of makes a continuation on that. It says, "But a natural man does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him. And he cannot understand them because they are spiritually appraised. But he who is spiritual appraises all things, yet he himself is appraised by no one. For he who has known the mind of the Lord, that he will instruct him, but we have the mind of Christ." And so some of your translations, as it uses the word appraised, might use judge, and so I believe it's in consider. As we look at it in verse 14, the natural man does not accept the things of the Spirit of God. And so if we are going to live our lives according to worldly customs and allow ourselves to be drawn to the natural earthly things that we are made from, right? We're made from dust of this earth, and so therefore we have a worldly mindset, a carnal mindset that you can go after. And so therefore the natural part does not accept the things that are spiritual of God. We all have a soul and we all have spiritual, and so that there should be a natural draw for us to go towards that, but we often lead towards the fleshly desires. So the natural man does not accept the spiritual things. They are foolishness to him. He cannot understand them because they are spiritually appraised. And so if we are focused on physical, natural things, then we're not going to understand and accept the spiritual things of God. And so it says, he who is spiritual considers all things, judges all things, appraises all things. He takes all things in consideration as making sure that, well, is this okay? Is this right? Is this godly? Is this something that we're to pursue? Yet he himself is judged by no one, is appraised by no one. That, not saying that there's no one out there that isn't going to judge you or judge me as I make this video, as I preach on Sundays, as we live our lives and we choose not to participate in lying and swearing and sexual immorality and drunkenness. And as we go down that line, people are going to judge us. But we don't, again, we're not worried about their judging. We're focused on God's judgment. We're focused on what we know to be right according to the Scriptures. In verse 16, "For he who has known the mind of the Lord, that he will instruct him." And so we are following God, following Christ. We have the mind of Christ. And so question we have to ask ourselves, are we going to focus on spiritual aspects, or are we going to allow the world to give us a carnal mindset? And we need to pursue spiritual things. We need to pursue the Lord. And as we do that, again, we can't take ourselves outside this world. We have to have money to provide for our family. We have to do certain things, and we live in a physical, natural world. But God needs to come first, and our spiritual pursuit needs to come first in our lives. And so I want to thank you for joining me. I hope everybody has a blessed day today, and that the Lord is willing. I'll talk to you later.